I'm addressing the students of 6th semester English Honours, and today I'll give a brief outline of the concept of Orientalism. Now, the Orient, what does the Orient refer to? The Orient is the land which is to the east of the West, West in capital with a capital W. So when we say West, we refer to Europe and beyond in the Western Hemisphere, whereas when we talk of the Orient, it means it is geographically, it means the cultures and the civilizations which exist to the east of Europe. So on one side we have the Occident and the other side we have the Orient. Now, neither the West nor the Orient are monolithic entities. The cultures and the civilizations which had developed in both the spheres, they are complex, and they are there is heterogeneity in both. Now, when we talk of the East or the Orient, we usually mean the Islamic cultures of the Middle East, then India, China, and Japan. Usually we mean these regions of the Eastern Hemisphere. Now, for a long time, the East and the West did not meet, and when it met, when the East finally, the West had come to explore the East, then they found that they have they have their own history, they have their place in the scheme of things, they have their own worldview, they have their wealth, they have rich cultural heritage, and they have their own intellectual and military prowess. So, the East is seen by the West as a land which is full of mystery, a land which is full of sensuality, a land of sexuality, and an exotic land, and unfathomable, unknown, and sometimes it is also associated with stories of barbaric practices. Now, when the Orientalist vision consists of two things. One is this fascination or the quest to know the Orient, the mystery, to penetrate into the profundity and depth of Oriental cultures. And the second thing is to control and educate the Orient in both political and economic terms. Now, when the question of educating a different culture comes, then it means that the West consider themselves to be superior, and that is why they feel the need to educate and tame and bring the East under their control. Now, this is what basically the concept of Orientalism means. Now, and it is Western civilization which has taken upon itself to to have the yardstick to measure what Oriental culture and civilization means. So the category, the conceptual category of the West was pitted against the concept of the Orient, and the difference between the West and the East lies not in, actually it does not lie in superiority or inferiority, but it is the Western desire to make themselves feel more superior, more advanced, and to see the Oriental cultures as backward and inferior. Now, and all this has a history. The history is this Orientalism came about as a byproduct of colonialism. When the Western nations, whether it is England, whether it is France, whether it is Portugal, or Holland, when they came to India and the other, the Southeast Asian countries, then they colonized and Africa, inclusive of Africa, then India, then the eastern, the southeastern nations. So, what colonialism is establishing the rule of the imperialists. So, the Oriental is seen as something which should be submissive. The whereas it is the Western desire to deny uh, what can be seen as superiority in Oriental cultures, and this is done for one purpose, and that is it enhances the self-esteem of the Westerner, and that is why they see Orientalism as something different and inferior, in contrast to which they are superior. So, this Orientalism, the concept of Orientalism is a construct. It is a construct. It is a deliberate self deception. Now, when we look into the history of Orientalism, we find that the Orient has its own science, Orient has its own history, Orient has its own legal systems, law, then it has its own logic, philosophy, medicine, but whatever exists, it is measured by the Westerner according to their concepts. According, it is said, it has been found that the Indian or the Chinese sciences are not regarded as science at all. Chinese medicine, which is not considered, or even the Indian ancient system of medicine is not considered scientific. And on the ladder of evolution, therefore, we find that the Orient was consistently way behind the West. So it is uh, so the Orientalism thus constructs the Orient as a passive, childlike entity. For the Western gaze, the Orient offers exotic, sinful, mysterious, and mystical traditions. And the West progresses and changes. The West is seen as progressive, making advances in science and technology, whereas the Orient remains unchanging. And unchanging because it does not come out of the clutches of tradition and orthodoxy. So, uh, to begin with, the Oriental scholarship uh, emphasizes the ancient over the living traditions. So, the ancient, or what has existed over the years, that is seen as a constant. And so it is seen that the Orientalists did not only discover the past but constructed the past of the Oriental countries. So the Orientalists are the people who regard Orientalism as a separate discipline, or a separate theory. So they do not discover, they not only discovered the past of the Eastern nations, but they constructed it. And so we find the different other characteristics also. One such construct is that the Westerner assumes himself as the white man, or the Westerner or the white man is something godlike. Godlike in the sense that he is powerful, he is superior, and he is a god of scientific wonder. He is a god of advanced technology. So he is, if he is seen as a god, then the only proper response to a god is to worship the god. So if the Westerner is a god, then a person from the Orient, from the East, is supposed to be submissive to that god. Here comes the power, the play of power. So, uh, power is an essential ingredient of Orientalism. And so Orientalist studies justifies the exploitation of the Asian people, and they also justify and think it correct that politically the Orient should be subjugated, the Orient should be under control. So, this ultimate ambiguity, however, is that the Orientalist is consumed by self love. Self love because the Orientalism is a creation of the Western psyche. It is, it in when seen the relations of power and dominance, when somebody is in power, somebody who is able to dominate, naturally the self-esteem, the confidence, and perfection is something which the Westerner thinks himself to be. So, and this is the vision of the Orientalists. The study of Oriental cultures, this discipline, it is the to live without this vision. This is a vision of the Westerner, and to live without this vision is to lose real power. So the West would rather die than give up this Orientalist vision. So a world without this vision of the Orient is too awful a place to contemplate. So this is what basically Orientalism believes, or what constitutes the Orientalist vision. Thank you.